Good evening, you're watching News Mongolian World. I'm your host, Taner Gabatar. And for top stories, 2023 marks the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and the United Kingdom. Mongolian elementary school students are exploring robotics through the Little Engineers program. Stamp collecting can be a fun and rewarding hobby. And for the news, stay tuned. Younger people are interested in studying and working in the IT sector. Students who took part in the Little Engineers program have started creating their own robots. We have details in the following report.
These are the students of the Little Engineers program. After participating in the program, they started writing programming code and creating robots. We talked to them about their new robots.
Compared to other robots, this robot's main role is to push heavy things. That's why we use 4 wheels instead of 2, and we chose slightly larger wheels for stability. We have color sensors in our robot connected by 4 semiconductors. We needed to write some code when we connected the semiconductors, and now the color sensor senses black. We can also see the robot's speed on the screen. When it comes to an engine-driven robot, stability is very important. It took 3 or 4 days to create this robot and its base. To make the robot make its first move, you should try write the first code. Code writing is really important. When the code works, the robot moves, and it feels really great to realize that the written code and the robot are the results of your imagination and hard work. I tested my robot by competing with other robot makers. These contests helped me learn when I had gaps and how to resolve issues to perfect my robots.
Technology and robotics classes like Little Engineers help develop creativity and increase students' interest in engineering, practical science, and technology. After attending these classes, I started getting interested in engineering. Plus, I learned that it's one of the most in-demand and highly paid professions of the future. I talked to my parents and decided to pursue this career.
These robots are born from one single Lego piece. The amazing part of robotics is that I can create anything I want. I plan to take part in upcoming competitions. We use 8 different kinds of Lego pieces. Along with making robots, students are taught the basics of practical science. Our students are actively taking part in an international competition, and since 2015, our students have taken part in 4 international competitions held in China and Romania.
Adapting quickly and thinking creatively will be essential skills for the future of technology, and it's essential to prepare for changes that will happen over the next decade. Industry experts know that to avoid falling behind the latest development trends, Mongolia should invest in and support technology and innovation at the policy level.
Stamp collecting is a hobby that's educational and fun. Stamps are miniature gateways to the world. In our next report, we will highlight Mr. Batayush, who has an impressive Mongolian stamp collection.
One of the first things you learn by collecting international stamps is geography. Stamp collector Batayush says you may want to get an atlas, globe, or world map to help locate countries for stamps in your collection.
One stamp collector said stamps are a guarantee of a country's independence.
Mr. Batayush has 80 albums full of rare and valuable stamps issued in Mongolia. He has 1 album filled with only dinosaur-themed stamps.
This is the first Mongolian stamp issued on July 1st, 1924, which sold for $1 at the time. It might be an old stamp, but it's an interesting illustration of Mongolia and world events of the time.
This is a Mongolian stamp featuring Marilyn Monroe that was sold for 5,000 Mongolian tugriks. Now the stamp is valued at around 500 to 600,000 Mongolian tugriks among stamp collectors.
There are some special stamps, like stamps about stones with stone pieces, stamps about flowers with an infused aroma, ones printed on silk, and so on, stamps with the Chinese zodiac.
Some people collect revenue stamps which are used by the country or issued to tax items. Many more people collect stamps on specific theme, such as animals, birds, fish, or people. Genghis Khan-themed stamps are quite popular among foreign collectors. Some of the pieces in his Mongolian collection have been purchased from foreign collectors.
Genghis Khan is one of the most historical figures of the millennium, so those stamps are in demand. Some of the most interesting stamps are usually issued in small editions and cost a lot. My collection is missing one stamp of Genghis Khan that was issued in 1925. It was issued in an edition of 12, so now the price of this stamp is very high.
Sometimes, collectors decide to collect stamps not by country of issue but for something else. Some people collect stamps that are oddly shaped or made of different materials, but all stamp collectors agree that postage stamps present a picture of a country's history.
Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
This year marks the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and the United Kingdom. Diplomatic relations between two countries were established on January 23rd of 1963. The UK was the 25th country and the first Western nation to establish diplomatic relations with Mongolia. This year, in commemoration of the anniversary, the Embassy of Mongolia in London will present a broad range of information and podcasts on the development of bilateral relations and important milestones. The partnership between Mongolia and the UK covers several areas, including business and trade, education, culture, sport, democracy, good governance, defense, and security.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Here's the international news from our partner agencies. Passengers piled off the first train arriving early Sunday at a newly reopened crossing point on the border between Hong Kong and mainland China.
Lok Ma Chau station had been shut close to 3 years since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, but travel to the crossing was finally reinstated from Sunday as both China and Hong Kong continue to ease their long-held COVID-19 measures, releasing massive pent-up demand. The passenger Chun Sung Bin, who had traveled on the first train to Lok Ma Chau, said he was in a hurry to get back to the mainland because he had not seen his wife for 2 years. Hong Kong immigration officials raised the shutters and allowed passengers to cross the border just after 6:30 a.m. local time. Those traveling between Hong Kong and mainland China are still required to provide a negative COVID-19 test within 48 hours of their journey.
Meanwhile, in Shanghai, China's largest city received its first international flight on Sunday following the easing of COVID border restrictions. The flight carrying over 200 passengers arrived at Shanghai Pudong International Airport from the New Zealand city of Auckland at 6:30 a.m. local time.
When passing the customs inspections, travelers needed to show a code proving that they had recorded a negative COVID-19 test within 48 hours before departure. While China has eased restrictions, its borders remain largely sealed with only a fraction of the previous numbers of international flights arriving at the major airport. Beijing's main capital international airport was expecting 8 flights from overseas on Sunday. The number is expected to tick upward, with booking inquiries for overseas flights overwhelming some online travel services ahead of the Lunar New Year travel rush later this month. China is now facing a surge in cases and hospitalization in major cities and is bracing for a further spread into less developed areas with the start of China's most important holiday of the year, set to get underway in coming days. Authorities say they expect domestic rail and air journeys will double over the same period last year, bringing overall numbers close to those of the 2019 holiday period before the pandemic hit.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Saturday said the Russian military was continuing to strike Ukrainian positions despite their declared ceasefire. Russian shells again hit Bakhmut and other Ukrainian positions, said Zelensky in his nightly video address.
Ukrainian officials denounced the unilateral 36-hour pause as a ploy and said it appeared to have been ignored by some of Moscow's forces pressing ahead with the nearly 11-month invasion. Ukrainian officials reported Russian shelling attacks in Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporozhye regions on Saturday. Russia's defense ministry insisted Saturday that its forces along the 1,100-kilometer front line were observing the Kremlin-ordered truce but returned fire when attacked. Zelensky on Saturday also talked about a sanctions list prepared by the National Security and Defense Council against everyone whose voice sounds in unison with the roar of Russian artillery.
Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. The 2022 PUBG Mobile Global Championship of $4 million prize pool tournament concluded on January 8th with 51 global squads competing. The Mongolian Godlike Stalwart team won the 4th place and the IHC Esports team won the 5th place. The 2022 PUBG Mobile Global Championship, a $4 million prize pool tournament concluded on January 8th with 51 global squads competing. The league stage of the yearly mega competition was completed on December 4th, while the grand finals wrapped up yesterday. S2G Esports from Turkey lifted the elusive trophy. The Esports PUBG Mobile World Championship took place in Jakarta, Indonesia for 3 days. IHC Esports and Godlike Stalwart teams from Mongolia competed in this tournament. The Turkish team S2G Esports became the world champion of this year with a total prize fund of $4 million and became the owner of $510,000. The runner-up was Nepal's DRS Gaming team and the 3rd place was Brazil's Alpha 7's esports team. The Mongolian Godlike Stalwart team won the 4th place and won $200,000, while the IHC Esports team named Zeus, who came in 3rd place in the tournament 3 years ago, won the 5th place and won $151,000. The grand final stage lasted 3 days, and the poor performance of the Mongolian teams on the first day dragged the success of the last 2 days. Burumbayır, top of the Godlike Stalwart team, was named the best player of the tournament. The tournament has generated peak viewership of over 851,000 viewers, crossing the 2021 PMGC mark but failing to surpass the 2020 edition with 3.8 million viewers, according to a report by Esports Charts. Incidentally, the last championship match attracted the highest number of concurrent viewers. The grand finals was broadcast in 14 languages and live-streamed on 4 platforms: YouTube, Twitch, Facebook and TikTok. The event was held in Jakarta, Indonesia, with 3 popular Indonesian celebrities performing live at the venue on Day 2 and Day 3. During the grand finals, it was also announced that the first international event, 2023, will be the PUBG Mobile World Invitational, which will take place in July in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The 4th season of the Global Championship will be held in Turkey. 12 months after he was deported from the country, Novak Djokovic won his first title in Australia since last year's deportation, defeating American Sebastian Corda in an epic 3-set final at the Adelaide International on Sunday.
The number 1 seed from
Novak Djokovic saved a match point as he beat Sebastian Corda to win the Adelaide International and extend his winning run in Australia to 34 matches. The Serb dropped his first set of the tournament but fought back to win 6-7, 7-6 and 6-4. The world number 5 has won 92 career ATP single titles, level with Rafael Nadal. Only Jimmy Connors, Roger Federer and Ivan Lendl have won more.
I would like to thank my team for handling me, tolerating me in the good and bad times. Today, I'm sure they didn't have such a blast with me going back and forth with them, but you know, I appreciate them being here. My brother Marco is also here, that I don't see him that much, so I appreciate you coming here, Mare. Love you. It's been an amazing week, and you guys made it even more special for me to be standing here. You know, is a gift, definitely. You know, I gave it all today and throughout the week in order to to be able to get my hands on the trophy, and the support that I've been getting in the last 10 days was something that I don't think I've experienced too many times in my life. So thank you so much for everyone for coming out every single match. It definitely felt like playing at home, that's for sure. And you guys made me feel very welcome. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
The Adelaide International is Djokovic's first tournament in Australia since he was deported in 2022 because of his COVID-19 vaccine status, but his visa ban has now been overturned. Djokovic will look to extend his record number of wins at the Australian Open, which starts on January 16th. He's targeting his 10th title, which would also equal Nadal's men's record of 22 Grand Slam titles. Aryna Sabalenka won her 11th career singles title, beating 18-year-old qualifier Linda Noskova 6-3 and 7-6 in the women's final. It was world number 5 Sabalenka's first win since May 2021, sealing the victory without dropping a set throughout the tournament. Elsewhere, world number 7 Coca Gauff won the ASB Classic in Auckland, New Zealand. Gauff, 18, beat Spanish qualifier Rebecca Masarova 6-1 and 6-1 and did not drop a set across 5 matches. It was Gauff's first title since 2021 and her first on hard court since 2019. Here's the weather forecast of all major cities. Well, that's all for today, and thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.